Okay, so brought all my files into this final project folder, and this is kind of a cooking show. I've got all the ingredients in their own containers that I'm going to be using. And so before I start bringing them into the oven, so to speak, I want to make sure that they're properly prepared. So you're going to want to open up, if you've got any of the older files, you're going to want to fix them. So this is how you would fix them. So I'm going to open up the RGB file, and this needs some work. It actually is working fine right now, but it's not set up with the function. And the function is actually going to make it easier on me to not use so much code. So only one function will work for all of the frames and their portfolios. The other thing I need to worry about is bringing in items with the same names. So this target 1 and 2 and 0 and all these names are a little too generic. If I brought these into the larger file, I will run into names that are similar if not exactly the same, and I can't have that. So to avoid confusion, I'm going to name them here in the library with RGB in front of it and an underscore. So I'll save that, copy that, and I'll name all the symbols in here with that same name, or prefix, I mean. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all in one big folder. So I'll create a folder, and I'll call that RGB as well. And everything in the RGB FLA file goes into the RGB folder. Should still work. It's working fine. Okay, and so now the next thing I want to do is I want to go get the code before I start naming stuff on the main timeline. So I'll open up this code. This is the old code. This is what's important to me up in here, these two. So everything below the arrays, I delete. Okay, so now I'm going to go open up the right file, the one with the right code, and I'll go to its actions layer, and I want everything except for the arrays in here. So I'm just going to delete those, but I'm not going to save it. I don't want the arrays. And I'll go ahead and do a select all and copy and close that and not save it, and come over here and go to that actions layer and paste it in here. Now it's important that the stop and the definition of the stage or the canvas is called out first. So I'll do a Command X, give myself a couple of returns, and put that where it belongs. Okay, now one change I've made to the code is I put this black box at the end of the line. That's this guy over here. This one over here is the pop menu for the box or rectangle. So I wanted there to be a relationship between the 0 items and their 0 address. So I'm going to take this, Command X, put it comma and paste, and delete that last comma. So it should work now. There's only one small little thing I need to do, is make sure that the function as it's being called out uses the names of the array. So in here I'm going to stick a 1 and a 1 there. So now everything should work with the new code except one little proviso. They no longer can be movie clips. Now even though they're called movie clips in here, I'm going to have to switch them into buttons on the stage. So I'll come to the stage, do a Command 3. I'll select all 3 of these at the same time, and I'll go ahead and make them all into buttons. Now I should be in business. So here we go. It's working with the new setup. And now to clean house, I'm going to have to rename these instance names themselves. So I'm going to do this one step at a time, because sometimes if you do too many things at once, it's hard to catch errors. So first one I'm going to name over here, this is going to become a BTN. And also in front of it, I'm going to put RGB with an underscore. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the this, although this isn't that necessary. I can take that, copy that, and put it, replace that this there. Okay, so I'm going to copy this name over here, and now I'm going to go to my stage, and I'm going to select the artwork where it belongs, which is here. And so it's going to become RGB Popup BTN. And if all goes well, that should work. I'll test it. And this is working just fine. That's good. And so now I need to change the names of the artwork itself. So I'll just steal RGB over here, and I'm going to paste it on the first picked 0, and I'll paste it on the second picked 1, and change those there. Now I'm going to steal the BNT, copy that, and that replaces the old MC. So no more movie clip by name. They're officially buttons on the stage, so the name can reflect that they're buttons as well. So that looks good. So now I'll go to, I should replace these here as well. Well, I'll do them one at a time. Like I said before, if I make any errors, I want to catch them in here. So this is going to become a BTN. This is going to become a BTN. And this is going to become a BTN. Now this is going to become an RGB underscore. Select that and copy it. Come back over here, paste that there, and paste that there. So let's test that. So everything's still working. That's good. And now, so these are fully named with the prefix and the end note here, BTN. Now we need to fix the buttons. So the buttons, along with this one's already been fixed, but the buttons haven't been yet. So the buttons are going to get a prefix of RGB. And now I need to go to the code to change that, because the buttons in the code are still empty over here. So right in front of the name, Command V for paste. Right there, paste, paste, and this one's already set to RGB. Okay, so this is still working, so let's do a command return and check that out. Everything's groovy. Okay, so we'll go back. Alright, so I've got these in a folder, and I want to put these in a folder too. That'll make it easier for sorting out the construction of the larger file. So I'll create a new folder, and I'll call that RGB, and I'll go ahead and put everything inside it, and I can close it in there. That looks good. And on the first frame, I'm going to call that RGB. And remember, the label's got to be exactly the same name on the label. If you're planning on using the pop-up menu, it's got to be the exact same name as the label. It's uppercase sensitive, so that has to be the same. Okay, so that takes care of that. Everything's working. And in the next movie, I'll start assembling my artwork. So I'll save this while I'm at it. And I'll give it one last test run to make sure everything is working okay. Okay, so Next time we'll start bringing everything together as one file.